Produced by PI Media.
Hi, I'm Ran Levy. Welcome back to the Wix Engineering Podcast.
Take me through a typical day in the life of Kent C. Dodds.
Meet Kent Dodds, a busy software engineer.
I used to teach Sunday school to around 9-year-old kids. On Mondays, I typically would publish a blog post that I send out to tens of thousands of subscribers. And then I worked on product-related tasks.
Kent is the co-founder of Remix and previously worked at PayPal.
About once a quarter, I'd go into the PayPal office to give trainings and stuff. I'd make egghead lessons, so often I would do that in the evening after the kids go to bed, record a bunch of egghead lessons and courses, go to lunch with with friends in the community, outline. I also used to write my book, a novel, fantasy novel that I used to write. That was a lot of fun, and I'm still sort of working on that. I have like 3 podcasts that I manage. And then, respond to literally dozens of questions a day, from tweets, Twitter DMs, Slack, Discord, email, YouTube comments. Also, I married and have 4 kids and a dog.
Kent is so busy because he's a bona fide voice in the developer community. He has over 185 followers on Twitter, 26,000 followers on GitHub, 45,000 subscribers on YouTube, and so on. People want to know what he has to say and care about what he's doing. But it wasn't always this way. It took time, not just to build an audience, but to develop a voice, a unique perspective that people wanted to hear amid the crowd of other voices flooding the internet. How did he do it? How can you become the kind of person that other developers want to listen to? What does it take? That's the subject of our episode today. Kent's path to success began long before he ever tried coding.
I'm number 11 of 12 children. So I have a little sister and then 10 older siblings. And they were all really successful growing up in school and stuff. So I'd go to my new class with my new teacher and they'd say, "Oh, I had your older brother and your older sister and they were awesome." And I felt like I had to do something extraordinary to be noticed.
The feeling stuck with him into adulthood and his early career.
I remember I was interning as a JavaScript developer at Domo.
Domo is a $1 billion cloud company.
And so I worked with some brilliant engineers there. Really awesome people. And I just remember sitting around with those people, listening to them talk and just thinking, I want to be the best at what I do. I want to be the best JavaScript engineer there is.
That ultra-competitive urge, that drive to be the best, drove Kent to go above and beyond at every job he had, even his very first internship.
I was working as an intern at this company called the More Good Foundation. It was a nonprofit that was tasked with just flooding the internet with the positive stuff about my church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I was given a number of tasks that were just really, really busy work, monkey tasks. I decided, this is super boring. I bet I could write a program that could do this for me. And it involved ripping DVDs and uploading them to YouTube, or downloading videos from one website and getting it over to YouTube and stuff like that. And it was just so incredibly boring. And I figured out that I could write a Java program, that's the language that I knew at the time, to upload these videos to YouTube. And so I learned about the YouTube API. It's the first time I'd ever used anything like an API. And I definitely made a big impact there because I uploaded tens of thousands of videos in a fraction of the time that they expected me to take.
It was the same at his next internship as a business intelligence engineer. He decided to write a script to automate the sending out of emails and reports. Then he wrote documentation so that employees afterwards knew how to use his program. His manager felt guilty.
Hey, Kent, this is great. Like, you're doing awesome stuff, but you signed on to be a business intelligence engineer. Like, we want to teach you how to do that. Like, that's kind of what you're doing for your internship. They kind of feel bad that you're doing all this other work.
But coding alone, he felt, wasn't satisfying. He wanted to do more, not just for his job, but for himself.
There are many, many ways of contributing into the community.
Tomas Miliauskas, system architect and engineering manager at Wix.
Speaking in conferences, or speaking in local meetups, or conducting like workshops and then giving talks in those. Another kind of activity is, being active in some sort of like written community channels, like, for instance, Stack Overflow. You can spend time in answering questions there, helping other people there, or you can take part in private or public chat servers like Discord, for instance, and then help people there or answer questions there or suggest ideas there. Another tools that I can think of could be, blogging, like writing a blog post.
I've always been somebody who enjoys teaching other people. And so teaching ended up being the thing that I would do after hours.
Kent organized meetups and started publishing content online.
The cool thing in the tech industry is that you can do things relatively quickly because tech evolves so fast. Like right now, there's no Remix course.
Remix is the full-stack web framework Kent works on today.
So we're a new community here. And so if you wanted to make a name for yourself, you could start up in the Remix community, start helping a lot of people develop that trust, be like, wow, this guy is a Remix helper and they really are knowledgeable about this. Build a bunch of demos and stuff, develop that clout. Once you have that consistency, then you could pretty quickly develop a pretty good following of people who are like, yeah, I want to learn about Remix, and I know that so-and-so is really good with creating content about Remix. I'm going to trust them with my time because they're trusting you with their time just as much as with their money.
Kent was doing blogs, streams, courses, and talks. Thousands of followers flocked to him, and he lived happily ever after. The end. Right?
Oh my goodness. The number one thing people get wrong about this is that it can be done quickly. That's the biggest thing people get wrong is they start some sort of consistent content delivery thing, whether it be a newsletter or a weekly live stream or Discord server or something. And after 3 or 4 weeks, they kind of putter out and be like, man, this is hard. There's nobody, like I have 2 people watching my Twitch stream or whatever. And then they compare what they have to what I have. And they don't realize that it's more than just the number of people, but it's the number of years that I've been working on this.
I think, that's kind of maybe an impact of the fast growing industry and things changing fast in the industry. So that creates this expectation of that you should also get some immediate maybe results of when you invest some time in something. People expect this to happen fast, and if they don't get it fast enough, they either drop it or become disappointed and shift focus.
When I started, I also had nobody listening.
Basically, all content creators, when they first start out, encounter this problem. Thousands of other people want to or already are posting videos, podcasts, and blogs about things you're interested in. Why would anybody want to listen to you instead of them? To gain those first few followers, usually content creators turn to one tried and true formula: clickbait.
Doing like clickbaity stuff or growth hacking stuff, like asking questions like, my favorite editor is VS Code. What's yours? Retweet.
Alternatively,
some people are just like meme masters. And so they're like social media, like really good at making funny memes and stuff. And so people follow them for that reason. The problem is that when we start trying to develop a following and producing content and whatever, we often look at what other people have done and say, I want to do what that person did. And so I'm going to do it the way they did it. And we spend so much time focusing on how do I build a following that we forget why people want to follow us.
These days, we do have a lot of people just sharing other content or things like that, and that creates more noise than value. And I think what other people are looking on is some sort of like a useful information or guidance, or they're interested in your personal experience on things so they can maybe use it for their own in the future.
The trick for me was consistently delivering high quality content. That was the reason that I gave to people to follow me. The other thing is also like being the type of person that people know they can ask questions and get answers. And when you turn into the person that people know they can ask, then you naturally turn into their expert. I had my GitHub AMA where I publicized that, and so people could ask me anything on there. I would help people a lot in Discord, so they're not even necessarily asking me, but they're asking the abyss, and I jump in. I also Stack Overflow or Slack or whatever, wherever my community was. And then jumping in and doing conference talks and stuff, you make it easy for people to ask you questions, and you get yourself a reputation for the type of person who can answer those kinds of questions. And then you also make it easy for people to follow you by doing simple things like making your profile picture a picture of you, and by making your username the same across all these different platforms. So it's easy for people to find you wherever they want to. And then creating a mailing list helps a great deal, because when you're just on YouTube or Twitch or Twitter or wherever, you're kind of stuck behind the algorithm of whatever these platforms dictate, which is not a great place to be in. So it's great to have followings on those places, but when you have somebody's email address, then you have a direct communication line to the people that you're following. So I would also suggest to anybody who's looking to build a following to start a mailing list as soon as you can, and give people a reason to give you their email address.
All kinds of positive and sometimes unforeseen benefits come from having a voice in the community. Kent, for example, can sell things to his followers because they've grown to trust him and his word. But beyond that,
teaching has always just been a really big part of the way that I develop my talents and, just become a better engineer overall.
It's what Richard Feynman articulated all those years ago. You learn by teaching. When Kent gives a talk or answers questions on Slack or Discord, he's the instructor. But
what's cool about that is they will ask you questions that you may have never considered or have problems that you've never had, and that exposes you to more problems. And so I often tell people, like, the best way to get experience as a software engineer, or the fastest way, is to have experiences. And the way that you have experiences is by exposing yourself to problems. So if you are trying to become an excellent wood maker, or a furniture maker, but you spend all of your time just making chairs, you may get really good at making chairs, but your experience in making tables does not necessarily progress in making chairs. So you want to expose yourself to a variety of different experiences. And so that's what becoming the question answerer did for me, was that it exposed me to a lot of different problems that I may have never considered before. And I certainly had never run into before.
It makes you to step out of your comfort zone, because writing code is, communicating with a computer is something different than communicating with another person. And then you can get some ideas for yourself, maybe, some ideas for your projects, some ideas for your solutions, and so on.
There are so many ways to loop through an array or chop up a string or whatever. And so the most important thing you can do when you're writing that code is to communicate the intent of the code effectively and make it so that people can change that code easily. And so a big aspect of that is having them understand it. And so I think that, or I like to think that a focus on improving myself as a communicator in general has helped me come up with better APIs and better code for implementing those APIs, by considering how does this code communicate to the people who are going to be reading it in the future.
By now, you've learned all kinds of tips and tricks you can use to build a following in the developer community. Get in front of audiences and be the kind of person people can ask questions of. Make it easy to find you online by using consistent usernames across platforms and your real face as your profile picture. Create a mailing list to have autonomy over how you communicate with your followers. Keep learning and always try to be the best at what you're interested in. Have patience and keep going, even when it's not all happening for you right away. In the end, though, you should ask yourself, why do you want to be heard in the first place? To make money? For the vanity of being popular? Or is there a deeper reason, a better reason that will help fulfill you as a developer and as a person?
When I say that my mission is to make the world a better place by helping people develop quality software, I mean it. That's really what I want to do. And that's what I spend all my time doing. I am just really motivated to help people build quality software. I'm living comfortably. My wife and I do not live the lifestyle that requires a lot of money. I don't want to own a boat. I don't want to own a cabin. I don't want to own a private jet. These things are not interesting to me. I don't want to live that sort of lifestyle. And so I'm not chasing after money. I just want to make the web and the world better.
That's it for this episode. Thank you for listening. The Wix Engineering Podcast is produced by PI Media, written by Nate Nelson, produced by Yotam Halachmi, and narrated by me, Ran Levy. Special thanks to Morad Stern from Wix. See you again next episode. Bye-bye.